My name's Alison Ransom. I'm the Vocations Advisor for the Methodist Church. This is part of a series of films to support the Exploring Ordained Ministry Days. This input is on Calll, Discernment and Vocation. Language is a bit slippery and there are lots of complexities as we explore our vocation. We want to offer you 3 definitions as a conversation starter. Call is a sense of a prompting from God for us to do something. Discernment is working out what that something might be. And vocation is a way of living our lives that enables us to be and do the something. Because you're part of the Exploring Ordained Ministry Days, we assume you've responded to the general call to follow Jesus and that you're discerning a sense of a possible call to a particular vocation to ordained ministry. Now, the ministry in the Methodist Church report says that ministry begins with God, is always shared, is for the sake of the world, and is often local. I want to unpack those 4 things as we go through this presentation. The theologian Walter Brueggemann says that the calling is the agenda that emerges as the result of a dynamic relationship between the one who calls and the called. As I said a moment ago, our primary calling is to follow Jesus. And then each of us has a unique way to respond to that in a particular way. That's our particular call. That's our vocation. Discernment is how we work out that unique journey with the caller. Because key to discernment is prayer. There's a story of someone interviewing Mother Teresa and they say to her, when you're praying, what do you say? And she said, oh, I don't say anything, I listen. So the interviewer, thinking they were clever, said, oh, so what does God say? And she replied, God doesn't say anything, God listens. Prayer is a listening relationship. Learning to differentiate between our inner voice and God's voice is our life's work. So learning a variety of ways to pray is really important. And one of the things we really encourage you to do is to do some journaling. You might want to buy a notebook, you might vlog or blog or just jot notes on your phone. It doesn't matter how you do it, but we really want you to do it because it's as you're writing or drawing or talking that you begin to notice things in a more intentional way. But because you've recorded them, it means that you can look back and see patterns, and you can see if there are any key questions that get repeated or notice if anything's jarring or out of place. There's loads of ways in which you can do that. Firstly, just have conversations with those who love you. Listen intentionally to the sermons. Be really present in worship. Give of your best to God and encounter God. Notice what the songs in worship are saying to you, but also songs in wider life too, the tunes and the lyrics. And also, as you're watching telly or watching movies or reading books, what are the things that are being prompted in you? As you live your current life, what are your experiences? What is giving you life and what is draining you? Those are all things to be really attentive to. We've produced a series of postcards called Called to Be. We encourage you to engage with the questions on the back of those, not just the ones around ordained ministry, but all of them, because those discernment questions are relevant for all of us. You see, we're whole people, and it's our whole person that is discerning whether or not we have a call to ordained ministry. We're integrated, our head, our heart, and our guts. And one of our other films has got a little bit more on this idea of aligning those 3. But as I said before, the ministry in the Methodist Church report says that ministry begins with God, is always shared, is for the sake of the world, and is local. Because the ministries themselves are the church's ministry. They're not my ministry, it's the church's ministry, and each of us does have a part to play in that. So if you're discerning your response to the church's ministry, you don't do that in isolation. You might be asking, what can you offer and what do you need? But also the church is asking, what does it need? and what can it offer to you? That's a two-way discernment process that's happening. But both you and the church aren't just asking what do you need and the church needs, but what is it that you need that can meet the needs of the world for the sake of the world? And also, each of us discerning this call are different. We're different genders, ethnicities. Some of us are disabled, some are gay, some are straight, some manage mental health conditions. We are a whole bundle of people. Therefore, how two people respond to a similar vocational exploration may be different. We will all take a different path. That's why it's so important that we commit to prayer and discernment, because we need to have a confidence to overcome any barriers that we might encounter internally or externally. Because discerning is more than just working out the best way to use our gifts. And discerning is more than a call to something or from something. It might also be a call to be alongside, a call to be with, a call to be amongst those we already share our lives with. The aforementioned report says that ministry begins with God, is always shared, is for the sake of the world, and is local. And yet some, maybe you, are called to itinerant ordained ministry, to be set aside from your current local, to serve the church in a different way. Vocations can be in the church, and they can be outside of the church. They can be lay, and they can be ordained. They can be for a lifetime, or they can be for a season. There's so much to explore and consider, and we're delighted that you're considering the idea of ordained ministry in the Methodist Church. Please do watch the videos, and I hope you're able to be part of one of the days.